Welcome along to another episode of Off the Leash, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with Premier Greyhound Racing. We are up to episode 38, and we are once again in brilliant company. Open race correspondent of the Racing Post, Tony Bullen, joins us. Tony, it is, we say at the top of every single show, it's never ending. We've got 4 Cat 1s in full swing now, and the party keeps on going.
Yeah, and they've been so good, these comps. I mean, the cream has risen to the top in quite a few of these events, Dave, and long may it continue. As I say, we're getting to the business end of 2024, but the action's still fast and furious.
Yeah, very much so. You're, of course, watching us here on the Racing Post YouTube channel. We try and get through all the comments, whether it'll be here on YouTube or we, of course, upload every week on Facebook as well. So do get involved. Let us know who you're backing, who you fancy. Thoughts on our selections if you are following. We've been a little bit hit and miss with the naps in recent weeks. We blanked last week, but I'm confident we will be back. Elsewhere this week, of course, here on the Racing Post, we've got the Sweet Spot every Tuesday, the Assist every Thursday, and Up in the Ante is back as well with Johnny and Dave as well. That has been uploaded, the most recent episode there, including, it's not too far away, the dreaded C word, not Christmas, Cheltenham. So check out that, all on the Racing Post YouTube channel. Right, this show, what have we got coming up this week? Well, there are, as I mentioned, 4 Cat 1s now in full swing. We've got the final of the Premier Greyhound Racing Classic at Sunderland on Friday night, £20,000 the winner there. Double headers on the Sundays coming up at Crayford. We've got the £10,000 Ladbrokes Grand National and the £10,000 J&K Coach Tours Gold Collar. And then on Monday, I think the best competition currently ongoing. Brilliant field assembled in last week's, or Monday's even, first round heats of the £20,000 Premier Greyhound Racing Eclipse, one of the biggest races of the year. 36 has become 18, so we're going to look towards the semi-finals on Monday as well. Catch your breath, Tony, because it's going to be quite a fast-paced but well-involved show. We'll start very quickly before we dive into the Eclipse. Very good field assembled this year.
Yeah, very good. I mean, the Eclipse is always a very hotly contested event, and this year certainly no exception. There's a bit of everything this year's event. You've got the early pace types and the strong finishers.
On the circuit, I think foolishly, some people turn up without a look or with only maybe one look. 500 metres, takes some getting, fair track, but a very tight first bend. If you've never been to Nottingham and you've only watched it on the screen, believe me, that first bend is a lot tighter than it looks on camera. Take some getting, this one.
Yeah, it does. You can improve. I mean, some dogs, you can give them a solo trial and they'll put up a fast time, but in race conditions at Nottingham, it's a complete different ball game. And as you touched on, Dave, you do see dogs moving around a bit. I mean, the old phantom third bend doesn't necessarily come into play as much. Like, you'd have the dog on the inside and the dog on the outside, and they'd always sort of chop and change the lead going into the third bend. You don't necessarily see that as much, in my opinion, nowadays, but it takes some getting and Nottingham, and it's a fair gallop.
Yeah, no hiding place, 500 metres. Let's get into it then. Right, we're going to look at the fastest heat winners from the 6 first round heats on Monday night. Reminder that semi-finals, 3 of those Monday coming. We're going to start with Wiki Ned, the biggest name on show of the whole lot here, chasing a 4th Cat 1 title. Been an incredible year for Wiki Ned, Neil McGregor, the owner, and trainer Jimmy Fennick. He went from trap 3 in heat 3, and it was no nonsense, Tony, wasn't it? It was absolutely brilliant from him. 29.35. Stone Park Wes, I thought, run well in the red for second, and Droopy's Donut in the stripes. He's chasing a 4th Cat 1, and he laid down a marker here.
Yeah, as you say, no nonsense performance. He looked like he was going to make the bend in front in the makeup of the race. He'd moved well in a couple of prep trials, and he just done the business, the dog. I mean, he was purchased to do big things on the track, and he's certainly doing that. I mean, nothing's ever guaranteed, whatever a dog costs, but Wiki Ned, he's certainly strutting his stuff, and he's added another dimension to his game, Dave. He come from off the pace to win the Steel City Cup at Sheffield, and he's definitely got stronger. I mean, like, he sustained a strong gallop there, 4 1/4 lengths, so he's thrown down a serious marker in that particular race.
Yeah, he's just a winner, isn't he, the dog? I mean, I think he came into it having only had 13 races. He's won 10 of them, and he's only really competed in competitions And barring the Derby, he's won everything he's been in. So he is a star. And he, as I say, laid down a big marker there, 29.35. Surprisingly, though, because after I saw that, I thought, well, that will be the fastest time. That will set the standard. He wasn't the quickest. We jumped to Heat 6 and Droopy's Plunge for Patrick Janssens, who this was nice to watch for price-wise follows, 50-1 price-wise in the Racing Post, 29.16. Now, I didn't have him down as a dog that would move inside as violently as he did here, Tony, but he banged out. He stepped inside from track 3, but 29.16 on the board. Barntick Bear and New In Sid, top class opposition, chased him home, but they never really looked like getting him, did they? This was a brilliant performance.
It was, and it tells you how much you can improve at Nottingham for a look round. In his trial, 30.03, which, okay, it's a decent enough run, but he's found an absolute chunk, the dog. He found 20 odd spots to the winning line, and what I like with his performance, he was still going strong at the pickup. I mean, whether he can bottle that exit remains to be seen, but I mean, there was some. I just couldn't understand how the bookmakers went 40s, some 50s, and 33s. The dog. I mean, A, he's trained by Patrick, and B, he's got no mileage on the clock, and he'd already beaten Barntick Bear in a sub 29 second at Toaster. So this victory isn't really, wow, where's that come from? The dog's clearly got talent and showed it here.
Yeah, set the standard, 29.16, brilliant run. Other heat winners then. Heat 1 was Antigua Kestrel, 29.55. Heat 2 was Romeo, still 29.55. Proper Heiress dug deep to score in Heat 4, 29.68. And Velvet Madrid, 29.90 in the other heats. Right, let's get to the semi-finals, 3 of them. 36 has become 18. First 2 will go through in each of these semi-finals. This is the Premier Greyhound Racing Eclipse semi-final number 1. It's the 8.19 at Nottingham on Monday. Velvet Madrid, 14-1 in trap 1. Proper Heiress, 7-2 in trap 2. Droopy's Plunge, 5-6 in trap 3. Romeo still 6s. New In Sid 6s. Slick Sentinel at 8-1. The only seeded dog here, the middle. Now, I will start, Tony. Droopy's Plunge, big claims, set the standard, 5-6. That feels very, very short to me.
Well, see, they've overreacted now, haven't they? They dismissed the dog at the get-go, and they've based it off times. I mean, look, I think he's the one to beat in the heat, but there's no way in the world I wouldn't take evens, Dave, because this is a tricky contest. There's plenty of early pace. I mean, Droopy's Plunge will probably have to work harder. I'm not necessarily sure he's going to have things all his own way in this race. So they've massively overreacted to the win. It was a very good win, but you've got to take into account the dogs that he's surrounded with. This will be, we'll see how good Droopy's Plunge is, because I think he'll probably have to come from just off the speed to win this particular race.
Yeah, game of opinions. Listen, shout out to Labrooks and Corals. First out of the traps. We recorded this on Wednesday morning. They've priced up all the semi-finals that we're going to go through as well at Crayford. 5-6 though. I'm in agreement with Tony. I think he's got big claims. Droopy's Plunge, he looks a nice type. Now, it's a little bit heartbreaking to see both the price-wise selections here. Proper Heiress, who was 14s, and Droopy's Plunge in 3s. And they're probably drawn around the wrong way as well. I think Romeo Steele's a massive price here at 6s. He showed from trap 5, that he had a poor drawn widest of 5 Raiders in the opening round, but he smashed out. He has got that in the locker, and he's got big pace as well. And at 6-1, he's not in 5, he's in 4 this time. If Droopy's Plunge steps inside again, the track might just open up nicely to Romeo Steele. So at the prices, I've got to be with him. What a selection from yourself, Tony. I imagine you was probably with Droopy's Plunge just in your thoughts, but on the prices that are available at the moment, where would you be?
Yeah, I can see your angle. I mean, I still think Droopy's Plunge will take the beating. I mean, I think we'll learn a lot about him in this particular race, because I think he will have to come from just off the pace. But with a run and that time that he did put up, I like the way he was still going strongly at the drop. But I can see your angle. This Romeo Steele dog, he's always had a bit of talent, and I don't think the draw off the rails is much of a hindrance for him, and he's got confidence under his belt. But I will stick with Droopy's Plunge, but it's a massive overreaction to what he had done on Monday, in my opinion.
Well, I'll be hoping 2 and 3 go through. I don't care in what order. But I think Romeo Steele, big runner there at a big price, 6-1. Right, let's move on to the second semi-final then. And again, prices available with Ladbrokes and Corals here. This is the 8:36 at Nottingham on Monday. Wiki Ned 4-5 up on the inside. Barntick Bear in trap 2 100-30. Stone Park Wes at 12s. Salacres tips to 12s. Antigua Kestrel 8s. Avongate Venus again the only seeded dog here in the middle. She is 9-2. Wiki Ned 4-5. Catch me if you can here with Barntick Bear in 2. This one looks like, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, one's guaranteed to front off of the rails. I mean, Barntick Bear could get a nice toe into the race, but he's been really devoid in the early stages at Nottingham. I know he's been running well, but I just think he can't afford to give these too much ground. I just think Wiki Ned leads out the second bend, just keeps his foot firmly on the gas. 2 will be running on well. 6 has just seen her form dip a little bit. She's not really showing that early pizzazz. But if there was any inside crowding, which I can't really see, to be truthful, she could have her claims, but I think Wiki Ned leads and 2 runs on for second.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wiki Ned at 4-5 versus Droopy's Plunge at 5-6. I mean, they're similar prices, but I think they're, I know which one I want to be with. And it's Wiki Ned. I think he's almost guaranteed to lead, providing he's sensible at the boxes. I think this could be a really good race. I'd love to see Barntick Bear just go around in second, maybe 3-4 lengths off the speed at the second bend, because I think they'd get quite close. As much as Wiki Ned looks like he's staying on strong, and I do think he'll win, Barntick Bear is a monster, and he's shown how strong he is. I mean, he ran a monster race in the Select Stakes, if you remember, over course and distance earlier this year, and he'd be flying home, and you wouldn't mind just a price on him qualifying here.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think he's got a nice make-up, because I know he's going to have to do things the hard way. I mean, he ran well the other night, the Antigua Kestrel as well. He sort of come home really strongly, showed a nice bit of track craft, but again, I just can't see anything holding Wiki Ned up.
Yeah, he's chasing a 4th Cat 1, and you wouldn't bet against him marching on into yet another big final. So 2 votes for Wiki Ned there. Right, we'll move through to semi-final number 3. This is the 8:54. Sandbar Kean in track 1 at 8-1. Clondalk Rosie 20s. Keyfield Goose 6s. Romeo Command 4-7. Tricky Wiggles a middle at 10s. And Droopy's Donut a wide at 4-1. Romeo Command 4-7. He had to be favourite. I think it's fair to say this is the weakest of the 3 semis. Tony, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think you'd be happy with 4. I know he's in trap 4, but he won out of trap 4 on his previous outing at Nottingham. I think he shows his class. He's Mr. Competition dog. I mean, he's got a brilliant CV to his name as Romeo Command, rarely out of the frame. I think he looks after himself early, and that all-round pace will serve him well, Dave. So, yeah, I think Connections will be pleased with the way the draw's worked out here for Romeo Command.
Yeah, he takes no finding, and he's 4-7, but it'll be for me as well. 2 votes for Romeo Command, runner-up in last year's Derby. And, of course, last year, he won the British Bred Breeder Stakes over course and distance as well. So he has got a Cat 1 to his name over course and distance. So he will do for us. Romeo Command, 4-7, maybe is the linchpin of any multiples you're having this week. Let's move through to the anti-post market then for the £20,000 Premier Greyhound Racing Eclipse. A stellar lineup. 36 has become 18, and it is 3-1 the field. Wiki Ned heads the market here at 3-1. Romeo Command 13-2. Barntick Bear and Droopy's Plunge both at 7s. Avongate Venus, Proper Heiress at 12s. It's 18's bar. He's chasing a 4th Cat 1. We've previewed the semi-final. We've both put him up to win. I actually think 3-1 is a fair price here, because if you think he's going to win his semi-final, it doesn't matter. I don't care what draw he gets, who else is in the final. He's obviously not going to be anywhere near 3-1. I don't mind him here as the fav. And maybe if you're not involved, obviously I've put up Proper Heiress at 14s and Droopy's Plunge at 50s price-wise. If you're not involved at this point, I think I'll go with the fav here, Tony.
Yeah, I can see your angle. I'm going to stick with Romeo Command. I mean, I fancied him anti-post outright myself, and I think he's got a smooth enough path to the final. And you're never beat with Romeo Command. He's not an all or nothing type of dog, and he can sit just off the pace and win his races. And he's proven at the highest level. So yeah, I'd take my chances with Romeo Command.
And, the fielders halved, so we'd lost half of the initial entry. But look at the names left in, and that tells you, Barnsick Bear, Droopy's Plunge, Avon Gate Venus, who's a Cat 1 winner herself. This is a brilliant competition.
Ah, mate, it's all to play for. And as I say, first two to qualify format, anything's up for grabs.
Yeah, it could be some hard luck stories on Monday night. But we're looking forward to that, of course, live on the Premier Greyhound Racing service, behind the red button on Sky Sports Racing, or of course you can find it on the PGR website. Right, it's a double header at Crayford on Sunday night. Not one, but two Cat 1s now in full swing, with the first round heats of the £10,000 Ladbrokes Grand National over the sticks there. There's 24 runners. There was 4 first round heats, the fielders half there, and there was a brilliant field assembled for the £10,000 J&K Coach Tours Gold Collar. 540 metres, speed and stamina required over the 6 bends. And that is the competition we're now going to have a look at. We'll look at the fastest heat winners. And Iams of Sydney, I think he was anti-post favourite, if I remember rightly. He was favourite, remember, for the final of this event last year. He was beaten by Lockhill Jess. He did the business, though. He didn't have it his own way, Tony, here, but there was a lot to like about this performance. Heat 4, won in 33.56. Other qualifiers, Empress of Rome in Trap 6 and Claire Keith Liana in Trap 2.
Yeah, he's a nice dog, Iams of Sydney. As you say, he reached the final last year, didn't enjoy much luck in that, but he's returned in decent nick. He's a Birmingham Cup finalist, Champion Stakes finalist at Romford. And this shows you that he's another dog that doesn't necessarily all eggs in one basket. If it goes wrong for him early, he's well equipped to sort of overcome any hazards that he might encounter around a tight circuit. The time was there as well. That was the most impressive part of the performance for me, because he's had to sort of do it the hard way, but still put up a quick time. It's not a straightforward assignment in his semi, but he's got it all, this dog, and I would stick with him personally.
Yeah, do you know what? We should always be impartial and not have our favourites, but Iams of Sydney is fast becoming a favourite of mine. I think it might be because he's actually not won an event yet. He's tenacious, he's game, he's genuine, he's fast and he stays. He got to the final of the Birmingham Cup over 4 bends, which was a good event at Perry Bar, and then he stepped back up in trip and got to the final of the Champion Stakes at Romford. So you know what you get with him. He's very, very game and genuine. And of course, the guys involved, guys and girls, should I say, the Iams of Boys Syndicate. I spoke to Nigel Smith, I think it was at Romford a few weeks back. And Nigel loves the dog. They're massive supporters of the game. And he's confident that this dog is going to win a Cat 1 at some point. And who knows, maybe it'll be this Gold Collar. He put down a marker in the opening round, marginally behind him on the clock. And this is an incredible story. Was bang on the clock for Monmore trainer Richie Taberner. Now, he did the business in Heat 6, 6.23 here. Bocco Sapphire showed massive middle pace. Keep your eyes on the Blue Jacket to qualify. Swift Depot back in third. Richie Taberner, owner Lee Wheeler. This dog picked up a really, really bad injury, muscle injury. I think it was quite a bad tear to his gracilis when it looked like he was going to put some incredible time up on the board at Monmore. Some sort of 6-7 months off the track. Richie Taberner reckons he's had this dog up his gallop at home over 150 times. Tony, your dad was a trainer. You've had your hands on dogs. Gracilis is a bad one. And they have always had concerns that, the muscle injury might come back. So far, so good.
Yeah, well, the thing is, patience is the key, and getting it right. I mean, with an injury like that, it's standing up to the work. And sometimes it can repair better than ever, and you won't ever have another issue again. Obviously, I don't know how bad a tear it was with the gracilis, but the fact that the dog's come back doing what he's done, he's credit the connections, because it's one of those injuries you've got to take time with. And even when you think, he's gone well in a gallop, you're always worried about the next gallop and the next gallop. But the fact that he stood up to these reasonably quick runs that he's having now tells you that all is well. I mean, he put up a really good trial. Normally, you'd give him a trial over the traps they're coming out of, but Connections give him that spin over the 380 metres, 23.25 for the 380. And he put that into practice over the 540 metres, and did it really well. and Bocco Sapphire stayed on well in the second half.
Yeah, great story. And Lee, the owner, won't mind me saying that, it's a story because this was a bit of a punt from Lee, the most expensive dog he's ever bought, and it was just disaster after a couple of starts, big injury. But, Richie said he's such an enthusiastic and loyal and supportive owner of the kennel that he made him his project. He took him home for 12 weeks after he got injured as his pet at home just to look after him. What a story. And he's back doing the business. So onwards and upwards, bang on the clock there. Second in the standings. They're only 2 spots behind Iams of Sydney, albeit, Iams of Sydney had to come from off the speed. Right, 36 become 18 in the gold collar. Let's have a look at the semi-final. Semi-final number 1 on Sunday night. This one, 6:42 on the PGR service. Iceman's Girl in trap 1 at 5-2. Iams of Sydney at evens. Righty at 4-1. Moaning Rossi the middle at 7s. Ballymac Kinger 12s, wide seed in trap 5, and Empress of Rome at 20-1 out wide. Once again, fair play to Ladbrokes and Corals, first out the traps with betting on these semi-finals. Evens, Iams of Sydney, who's got to negotiate Iceman's Girl early on, Tony.
Yeah, and even Righty, I mean, he's no back number, the Righty dog. But yeah, I'd have to be with 2, just on the manner of his win. I mean, the Iceman's Girl bitch is a bitch I really liked. I thought she acquitted herself well in the Empress Stakes and Oaks. And she really battled well. She showed a winning attitude when getting up in the first round. I mean, she can show a lot more urgency at the boxes. It's a short run to the turn, so you need to look a little bit lively at the start. But I'd just favour Iams of Sydney. I think he can get himself in front of Iceman's Girl by the third bend, and that's going to give him a massive edge if he does.
Yeah, although it's 540 metres, I think a lot is going to rest on the start here, and I'm the same as you. I think Iams of Sydney's maybe just got a little bit more about him out the boxes into the turn, and he might just get across Iceman's Girl. But, I fancied her as a bit of a stayer, and the way she'd been staying on, she finished runner-up in the Oaks, but she was travelling really powerfully after the line, and she proved it in the first round. So an interesting race to look forward to. Iceman's, of course, the prefix of Gerwyn Price, former professional darts world champion as well. So a little bit of an interest in there. 5-2 up on the inside, but evens 2 votes for Iams of Sydney. Let's move on to semi-final number 2 then. Remember, 540 metres, lap and a half of the track. The 7:33 on Sunday night at Crayford. Slick Sabo 5-4. Bocco Sapphire 4-1. Antigua Bubble a middle at 25s. Then we've got BB Bianco 25s. Bang on the clock 11-8. Savannah Moo at 10s. I think the top's quite short here at 5-4. Slick Sabo. I mean, I know there's a lot of seeded dogs in here, but I just thought Bang on the Clock would probably be favourite here and probably make all.
Yeah, I'll favour 5. I mean, the thing with what the Slick Sabo is probably nothing going to hold him up early. I don't think this Bocco Sapphire dog just continually misses the break. So I think Slick Sabo put himself into a decent position around the first 2 turns. But this Bang on the Clock, I mean, he's clearly taken a shine to track and trip, runs the contours of the track really well, which is 3/4 of the battle. Some dogs can be too fast for the track because they're decent straights, but you're hitting the bend at speed, you can run all over the shot. But Bang on the Clock didn't do anything wrong in the first round. I think they lock horns 1 and 5. 6 could be a little bit of a worry for Bang on the Clock initially, but I think Bang on the Clock gets a run around the first 2 bends, locks horns with 1, and I think he just puts the extra little bit of pace to the race by the third bend. You keep an eye on where Bocco Sapphire turns. I think 3-4 probably find the pace a little bit too warm, Dave.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I think 5 will win, and I think Bocco Sapphire can qualify there in trap 2. So 2 votes for 5 in the second semi-final. Let's move on to the third and final semi then. This will be the 8:24 on Sunday. Claire Clefiana on the inside at 14-1. Droopy's Eunice at 5-4. Adadal Kazoo 6-4. Swift Depot 5s. Kate Sunny 14s. Ritzy Empress 10s. Droopy's Eunice, I've said this before on the show, I think she's featured in almost every single episode. We're up to episode 38. She's had some 25 races. She's been to 4 or 5 Cat 1s finals. When you're trying to find a competition dog, this is what you're looking for. This bitch is game. She just keeps qualifying, and she's got a touch of class about her.
Yeah, she's just not doing it at the early. If they could find half a yard out of the boxes with her, I mean, she'd be a real different proposition. I mean, she's shown what she's capable of in a solo trial, 33.49 on 20 fast. But in her races, she's just getting detached, and
Yeah.
she didn't really attack the bends for me. I mean, Allo Dal Kazoo showed that she loves the venue. I think she won the Peter Bussey Memorial over course of distance and returned in decent nick, having run at Nottingham and made the transition to six bends again a smooth one. But I'm going to give Droopy's Eunice another chance, Dave. I just think there's a big run in her. If she can get it right at the boxes, it's a big if at the moment, but she can run.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I also agree with you in that she's just not doing it early doors, and that just led me to Aladale Kazoo, who I didn't look too comfortable on the bends, I thought, in the first round. I spoke to trainer Nathan Hunt, and he was like, she's a big bitch. She probably wouldn't think that she'd be suited to Crayford, but she loves it. And don't forget, she's not been there for 9 months. She won the Peter Bussey. She's been off. Now she's back on the card, and I think she might just get first run. But an interesting race, the third semi-final there. Right, let's have a look at the outright market then. There's only 18 of them remaining, but it's still 3-1 the field. Iams of Sydney is the favourite at 3-1. Iceman's Go at 5s. Righty 7s. Slick Sabo 10s. 11-1 Moaning Mason. 12-1 Bar. Have you got any sort of view on the outright market, Tony?
Yeah, it's interesting that Bang on the Clock doesn't feature in the top 5 anti-post. I like the Iams of Sydney dog. I agree with you. I think he's due to win a big competition, and this might be it. I mean, he's not getting any younger. So time is probably running out for him, but yeah, I like. I mean, obviously the Queen Georgia bitch went out, so that sort of leapfrogged him to the head of the anti-post market, and it's his to lose now. I think, Dave.
Yeah, he's the favourite at 3-1. Just two at prices. You've already mentioned Bang on the Clock. He's at 12-1, and Aladale Kazoo at 12-1 as well. I thought, if you're not involved just yet and looking for maybe a couple of each way darts, they would be the two for me, both at 12-1. I fancy them to win both their semi-finals, so who knows? You could have two in the final, both at 12-1. Right, the Cat 1 action comes thick and fast this week, and it all kicks off on Friday night with the £20,000 Premier Greyhound Racing Classic Final at Sunderland, the biggest race of the year up at Sunderland, and a very talented final we've got. We're going to look at the 3 semi-finals from last week. Remember, 450 metres in, nice long run to the turn. It is a track that is all about early pace and attacking that first bend. We'll start with semi-final number 1. Of course, first 2 went through in last week's semis. There was 3 of them. Fire and Ice, the Romford Puppy Cup champion. I don't know how many runners Matt Dartnell has ever had up at Sunderland. I don't think it's too many. He put up a 26.85 here from track 3. Very straightforward off the front here. Oscar the Grouch, the other qualifier in track 1, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Fire and I, he showed what he's capable of in winning the Puppy Cup at Romford, and he's tailor-made for these type of track and trips. He wants an easy 4 bends. He improved for his first round sighting, no match for Stone Park Hoffer, but he did the business in good fashion here. I like the way the dog runs the bends. When he's in the clear, he's got a nice rhythm about him. He attacks the second bend and opens up down the back straight, and that momentum then just enables him to sustain the gallop. I mean, won by just over 3 lengths in a 26.86. You couldn't fault the performance, Dave.
Yeah, nice performance. I mean, we mentioned him last week as maybe the one to have an anti-post play on. I think it was 11-2, 6-1. We both fancied him to win his semi-final. He did the business. He's not going to be anywhere near that sort of price come the final. So he's got a chance, hasn't he? He's got a chance. So that was very impressive. Let's move on to second semi-final. Then, bit of a turn up here. Kulavani Mercy, trap 6, 27.01, unanimously on in trap 1. So it was the bookends that went through. She's been some bitch, this Kulavani Mercy. She's competed at the highest level her whole career. You can go all the way back to, I think, the Romford Puppy Cup. She might have contested early doors. Been a brilliant, brilliant performer for Andrew Harrison and Jimmy Wright.
I mean, look, it was a heat that would have graced the final, Dave. I mean, the Stone Park Hoffer did what he needed to do. He beat Lynx Maverick to the punch. He beat them all to the punch. And he put himself in front, but he didn't quite sustain the gallop and eventually faded into fourth. But this Koulibaly Mercy, she was Romford. I think she was Romford Puppy Cup runner-up when she ran in that competition as a youngster. She's been a real credit to Connections, and she sort of hit form at the right time. And like a few dogs, she's not necessarily reliant on an early lead. She can just come from just off the pace if required, and very game is Koulibaly Mercy.
Yeah, I think you're right. Romeo Crusade, I think, was the winner, and he chased her home at a big price. She chased him home at a big price. Right, let's move on to the third semi-final then, a 26.74, and this was very much a case of early pace wins the race here. Now, Brindle Bully was the favourite, as the anti-post favourite as well in the stripes. He did qualify, but Stephen Anderson's Bramble Linton was away and gone in the white jacket.
Yeah, again, he was third in the scurry, Bramble Linton. He's a nice dog, the Bramble Linton. He's not necessarily a lid pinger, but he shows good pace within 3 or 4 strides, and that's served him really well. I mean, I think he's probably better from a middle draw because you can attack the bend a little bit better from the middle. But yeah, he done it really well. They traded blows in the first round and the semis as Brindle Bully. Brindle Bully fetched Bramble Linton in the first round, but couldn't quite achieve that feat in the semi-finals. And I thought it was a good run from the first two. I mean, the problem with the Brindle Bully dog, he just can't quite go the early with these ferocious early pace types.
Which, I always wonder how dogs perform away from Romford, because this is a much longer run to the turn. If you can find a start at Romford, you're almost halfway there. You need to show a little bit more early. But he looks like a stronger dog to me, Brindle Bully. He's actually impressed me in defeat a couple of times, not just at Romford, but in the semi-final. I thought he stayed on really, really well. It looks like a dog that he might get 480.
Yeah, he did. I mean, the only thing I did watch back, and he didn't go to the drop in the semi. I know he was closing on Bramble Linton, but that was it. After the line, whether he's one of them when their hair gets pulled away, he just doesn't bother. You get some dogs, they just sort of down tools. But yeah, he wasn't sort of finishing off after the line. But again, I haven't really watched him in every race that he's had to the pickup. Some dogs just don't bother, like when their hair's whizzed away. But yeah, he's added a few other dimensions to his game in the faces that he's proven he's equally effective away from Romford, which is massive for any dog.
Right, let's have a look at the big final then on Friday night. Brindle Bully was turned over in the semi-finals. He was the anti-post favourite, and he does head the market. Down the card then, Bramble Linton, 7-2, Fire and Ice 4-1, unanimously on 14s, Oscar the Grouch 12s, Koulibaly Mercy 5-1, Brindle Bully 15-8. It's the 9-14 at Sunderland on Friday night. There's £20,000 up for grabs. It is the PGR Classic Final. Tony Bullen of the Racing Post, give us your view.
I'm going to be with Red, Bramble Linton, Dave. I know he's drawn bang on the rails, but I think that will help him. I think if he can pace up, hit the crown of the first bend at the right time, could be sort of carnage in behind, dogs having to check up, and Bramble Linton might just slip the field. Obviously, Brindle Bully, he could mind his own business out wide, but I still think he needs to hold his position. He don't want to have 3 or 4 dogs in front of him off that second bend. Koulibaly Mercy, I wouldn't rule her out. Oscar the Grouch looks like a dog that wants a stiffer 4 bends for me. He would probably excel when he's over a 480, 500 metres. Unanimously, and needs to conjure up a fast start, which he has got. And Fire on Ice needs to negotiate a way past Bramble Linton by the second bend, which isn't going to be easy. So I just thought that Bramble Linton, if he can hold his position on the crown of the first bend, he's big enough 34 kilo frame, he can muscle his way around in front, hopefully nick 2 or 3 lengths down the far side and hold on.
Well, it'll be some story. Stephen Anderson, I don't think he's won a Cat 1 yet. He's had lots and lots of finalists, Cat 1s, Cat 2s, Cat 3s. He's Bramble Linton on the inside, the pick of Tony. Do you know what? At 14-1, I could have a small bet on unanimously on here. I'm a big believer in dogs switching from the inside to the middle. We saw to an extent, Romeo Still will do exactly that in the first round of the Eclipse. When they're just drawn out a little bit wider, they can smash out, and he'll need to do all of that and more with Bramble Linton and Fire and Ice on his inside. But he is 14-1, and he broke quite well, and I thought he paced up really well in the first round. He almost went to the bend with Lynx Maverick, who's no slouch to the corner. So at 14-1, I think there's a little bit of juice. He always had to be a big price because of the speed inside him. Unanimously on in the white jacket. I'll take a chance on him smashing out, but it's a hell of a race. It really is. Kulavani Mercy is probably due a time in the sun as well, so you wouldn't begrudge her. And she'll be a runner. If she can go around in some sort of pitch, she's one maybe to stick in your forecast and tricast. Brindle Bully will be the favourite. It was the anti-post favourite. He was priced up on his ability and the fact that we wasn't expecting to be too many seeded dogs in this final. There is two, but he's got the draw in the stripes. And it's a great final. That is the 9:14 at Sunderland on Friday night. Right then, Tony, it is that time. Best bets of the week. You can go anywhere. Recording this on a Wednesday morning. Where are we off to for the nap?
I'm going to Sunderland. There's got a few supporting opens, Dave, and I think this Lionheart, he's knocking on the door again. I didn't think he was disgraced in the Classic. He's got trap 1, which I don't think he necessarily wants, but this does look a less demanding task. I mean, Tone Legie in trap 5 looks the biggest danger, but I think that can make the market for Lionheart, and this is where Lionheart can really show what he's capable of. I think this is a good opportunity. He turns no worse than second, hopefully off the second bend. No excuses thereafter.
Yeah, he goes in the 9:48 at Sunderland on Friday night. Right, I'm going to head to Romford on Friday, so we can have a double on Friday night. Tony's at Sunderland. I'm going to go to Romford. I'm going to go with the ground that finished third in the Puppy Cup. I'm going to go with Ginger's Prince, who I think has got a great chance to get back to winning ways in the 8-19. Tangled up in the run-up in the first round of the Puppy Derby at Toaster. He seemed to bang out. I think he was out in 4, and he must have stepped inside. We can't see the head on. And he kind of just lost all momentum and fell backwards. I think if he can bang out again here, I think he'll just take control on the inside. And he's very strong over the 400. I fancy him as a better dog over maybe a 450 or 480. But good chance to get back to winning ways. So Ginger's Prince for me in the 8-19 at Romford on Friday night. It's a busy one again, Tony. Strap yourselves in, but this top-class action keeps on coming.
Yeah, really good. I mean, it's good for the purists, for all, even connections. The draw is crucial in a lot of events, but sometimes you do want to take on the best. When the best of the best are competing, that's what the sport's all about.
Yeah, stars on show this week. In fact, the next couple of weeks as well. All the action live on the Premier Greyhound Racing service. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe to the Racing Post YouTube channel, whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook. Jot down in the comments below who you're backing. What do you think of our thoughts? What have you made of all this Cat 1 action so far this year? Do enjoy the racing. Gamble responsibly. We'll see you next week.